Are these Disney characters Democrat or MAGA? She's for education and for the future of children. Democrat. Democrat. Comes off like a damsel in distress, but she is for the underprivileged class and she is out there protesting. All about power, and deep down he knows he's nothing more than vermin. MAGA. Kind, caring, and for the working class. Democrat. All about saving the village and loving his neighbors. Democrat. He's willing to resort to harming others just so he can be recognized. MAGA. He didn't do politics for a while, but when he realized how serious it was, he voted Democrat. Independent and claims that both sides have issues, but he voted for Kamala. Captured a bunch of kids for money and power. MAGA. Democrat and basically the Obama of the lion world. Republican, not MAGA. He's for systems being in power, but he's not prejudiced and he's not about hurting the minorities. He voted for Kamala. Probably voted Republican in her time, but in 2026 time, she voted Democrat. Democrat and proudly goes to protests, very much for equal rights. Didn't vote, never cared about politics until the Queen started making horrible changes, then he registered as Democrat. MAGA and wears his red hat proudly. Are these Disney characters Democrat or MAGA? Part 2. She grew up basically enslaved by the rich and then married into royalty. Her kindness would not want anyone to go through what she did. Democrat. Because he's from New York, he votes third party, but if he lived in another state, he would vote Democrat. Doesn't want to help anyone except herself, and she's all about doing things her own way. MAGA. Primary focus is on protecting the environment. Democrat. Neither. He's so terrified with what's going on that he would run like a coward. Wouldn't shock me if MAGA ate him alive. All about law and order no matter what cost. MAGA. Started as a Republican. She grew up in a prim, proper home in a very suburban life where everything was traditional, but then when she met the tramp and was exposed to another world, she became Democrat. Democrat. Likes learning about other cultures and is pro-feminism. Not a perfect feminist by any means, but he didn't see Ariel as any less when she didn't have a voice, and still didn't see her as any less when he found out she was a mermaid. He's literally based on a real person who committed colonization. MAGA. She wasn't a voter until she learned about the hardships of the world. Then she became Democrat. Democrat and fighting to take the patriarchy down. Doesn't believe that different species should coexist together. MAGA. He would be for the Democratic Party, but he would forget to vote, and his friends would give him a hard time about that. She's all about protecting her island, but really, she just doesn't want to share the spotlight. MAGA. His mother was unfairly eliminated, and his forest was taken down. When he grew up, he turned into a Democratic governor. Are these Disney characters Democrat or MAGA? Part 3. Doesn't vote, thinks he's too good for responsibilities. He would be some troll in my comments section saying, "Stop bringing politics into Disney." Democrats. Never underestimate the power of strong female fairies. MAGA. No explanation necessary. Claims to be above politics, but he's not kidding us. He voted Democrat. She cared for an orphan boy and used her grief to create a better world. Democrat. Democrat. He only punishes the bad people. You know that all those souls being sucked into the underworld are a bunch of Trump supporters. She fought against fascism in her own patriotic way. Democrat. Moderate. Wants a traditional lifestyle due to his own fear of change. Only to realize in doing so that the people he cares about will suffer. He framed someone else for his own crimes, and he wanted to destroy a civilization. MAGA. Single father working a low-paying job and went back to school to get his education and did not see that as being indoctrinated. Democrat. She's all about environmental protection. Democrat. MAGA. He created a tyranny just so he could be the elite. He's basically Trump of the toy world. Outsider who wants to live in a world of acceptance. Democrat. Democrat. He defies gender norms. Even if he did that for selfish reasons, a Republican would never. He wanted to tax the poor. MAGA. Are these Disney characters Democrat or MAGA? Part 4. He helped 99 children escape from one civilization into another. That's probably the most democratic shit I've ever seen. Her focus was on protecting the colony of ants from a tyranny of grasshoppers. Democrat. Neither. She would run her own campaign to take the throne. She probably wouldn't win, but she would keep trying. Moderate. As much as she is about freedom and personal autonomy, her birth parents probably live more of a traditional lifestyle. And ever since she found them, she would probably associate with a lot of their values. Democrat. Dumbo was bullied and Timothy believed in him. The premise of Dumbo is basically a metaphor for children who have disabilities and the mental health advocates who support them. And that's who Timothy is. Total Karen who exploited a child to get rich. MAGA. Republican, not MAGA, but only in the first movie. In the first movie, he was all about protecting himself only, and he had a massive fear of change. But in the sequels, he became Democrat when he started protecting his community. She's all about saving the planet. Democrat. Claims to be moderate, but he's totally MAGA. He's the type who would put moderate in his dating profile, and when you ask him about it, he'll be like, oh, well, I voted for Trump, but it doesn't mean I support him. When the system failed, she defied odds no matter what cost. Democrat. Democrat. She's a professional psychologist who values empathy, communication, and change. Republican, not MAGA. He wants to run Neverland under his own authoritarian rules, and he came from privilege. But at the same time, he's in battle with someone who fed his hand to a crocodile and is running a cult. Is it really so bad that Hook is trying to fight against that? Democrat, raised in a fascist world, and he finally found his happy ending. Democrat, all about freedom for himself and for his friends, and he encourages them to vote. He hoards values, and he's all about status worship. He thinks stealing the heart of Tafiti will make him special, but he knows that he'll always be at the bottom. MAGA. Are these Disney characters Democrat or MAGA? Part 5. Democrat. Spent his childhood years educating himself so he could grow up to do the right thing. God help the outcasts. Democrat. And she needs to run for president. He's all about leadership and putting profit ahead of the people. MAGA. She would become one of those hippies that thinks both sides are flawed, but she would vote Democrat. Democrat. Supports small-town workers and puts loyalty above everything else. She took action against the monarchy. That's pretty Democrat. He was designed to conquer in very destructive ways, but his family adopted him and radicalized him into becoming a Democrat. A local artist who's for the working class and helping the youth? Democrat. Neither, although she might run as a Democrat to overthrow the patriarchy, but it wouldn't be for feminist reasons. She would want to create her own damage, leaving the rest of us to still have to decide between the lesser of two evils. Democrat. He's the type who would do continuous research, becoming one of the smartest beings in the world. And he would still feel like there's more to learn. Republican, not MAGA, but I do think that Cinderella could radicalize him into becoming a Democrat. MAGA, manipulative, and a cheater. She tried to destroy others, but her wrongdoings only brought suffering onto herself. That is such a MAGA thing to do. Democrat. She was raised by a therapist who values communication and change. Lives her life for herself, not for other people's approval. She'd be for the Democratic side, but honestly, I think she would forget to vote. He started a peaceful life only for it to be destroyed by greedy thieves. Then he used that to get into power, so he very well could be Democrat. But running as a leader, he would not be our primary choice. I honestly think he would be like a Gavin Newsom. Are these Disney characters Democrat or MAGA? Part 6. He literally tried to prevent a king from ruling the world. Democrat. He has a lot of traditional values, but he also does value the community, so independent. Republican, not MAGA. Likely voted for Trump in 2016, but voted for Kamala in 2024. She literally spends the entire movie either singing, crying, or sleeping. I think it's safe to say she doesn't vote. Republican, not MAGA. Even though he's greedy, he knows his limits and wouldn't let the poor suffer over it. All about the traditional stay-at-home life and relied on a man to take care of her. Very much the type to say she would love thy neighbor and say she's a good Christian woman. And then probably say, I'm not bigoted, I'm friends with 7 men who are different from me. MAGA. Educator who is all about saving the animals. Democrat. MAGA. All he has to do is breathe and you know he's MAGA. Was likely raised a Republican, but once she found her autonomy, she took high value in connection and change and became a Democrat. She helped 99 children escape to a better world and adopted them as her own. Democrat. He's a being that everyone in politics would be fighting about. The Democrats would say we should be helping him, MAGA would say we shouldn't. He grew up to be a Democrat. He wanted to overthrow a councilwoman and rule the universe. He's literally doing what Trump wants and what his supporters are voting for. Moderate. While he wouldn't support the government's actions, he believes in following order within the system. He cares about his friend's autonomy and wants her to have the best. Democrat. Republican, not MAGA. As much as he is about rules and tradition, he would not sacrifice those who love him to achieve that. Are these Disney characters Democrat or MAGA? Part 7. He was taken in by a rich puppeteer who used him for money. Democrat. Showed his friend the importance of the environment. Democrat. All about greed and forcing a poor child to work for her. She also complains that the tariffs made everything expensive. MAGA. Neither. He ran a monarchy. He probably wouldn't support Trump, but he wouldn't really fight against him either. Independent. Just wants to live a carefree life away from the cruel politics of the jungle. He worked for a leader who took from the poor. Also pretty much the Pam Bondi of Disney. MAGA. Democrat. He solves problems in a way that is above the law, which is seemingly arrogant, but he's a prime example of how people in law enforcement are incompetent at their jobs. Democrat. She has gay friends, trans friends, immigrant friends, you name it. They worked for a wannabe dictator only to realize they got screwed over. They predicted what the MAGA following is. Democrat. His dad is a Democrat, and even though their relationship is complicated, he picked up the right traits from his father. Republican, not MAGA, at first. Had potential to be MAGA, but once he realized he was a toy and not some made-up superhero that MAGA thinks Trump is, he became a Democrat. He might be the most MAGA of all MAGAs in MAGAville. Inspired a colony to stand up against their oppressors. Democrat. Democrat, and she would have debated Charlie Kirk on Jubilee. He said he would kidnap 1,000 children before letting his company die. MAGA. Are these Disney characters Democrat or MAGA? Part 8. An abandoned child who discovered the power of community? Democrat. The most wisdomous character in the entire Disneyverse voting MAGA? Yeah, he's Democrat. MAGA, and a much hotter version of J.D. Vance. He helped save a civilization and rebuild an entire culture. Democrat. Neither. He knows both sides are corrupt. He watches everyone debate while off in the distance, basking in the dark with that big smile knowing he doesn't have to be a part of it. MAGA. Very power obsessive, and the type who would make a picket sign during the pandemic that says, I want my hair appointment. However, the Cruella in the live action, the Glenn Close version, would be a Democrat. He's literally a healthcare provider, and he would be mind blown about how healthcare works in America. Democrat. Doesn't vote. Entitled man-child who thinks anyone can be a prince if they just work hard enough. He's basically James Charles. His goal was to overthrow Olympus, and he treated the underworld like a business. He also hired a group of beasts to do his bidding, so he could become king. Sound familiar? MAGA. He was part of a marginalized group and was attacked for being different. The entire premise of The Fox and the Hound is about bigotry and social division, leaving Todd to become a Democrat. He would consider himself apolitical, but he would still vote Democrat. As much as he wishes we could all just live in a world where we can just have our own adventures and have our own independent autonomy, he knows that we would have to vote for it. MAGA, and very much the pull yourself up by the bootstraps mentality. And despite being a Hispanic artist, he thinks Trump cares about him. Started off as a Republican, but she knew it was all crap. She no longer cared about being the perfect wife and fought for a better world. Glam life be damned. Democrat. A ballerina who represents the arts and is all for body positivity? Democrat. He's all about structure and doing things by the book. And he loses it when things don't go his way. And unfortunately, his true colors were destined to come out someday. MAGA.